Portland City Councilor Jamie Dunphy is the new council president, a job he did not seek. He'll set the agenda for the council for at least the next year. On January 14th, he emerged as the unlikely winner in a contest between two people who did want the job. Then Council President Elana Pirtle-Guiney and Sameer Kanal, a member of Peacock, the so-called progressive caucus. Dunphy was the compromise choice after 12 deadlocked votes over several days, contentious debate that sometimes devolved into personal attacks, and a public perception that the council is deeply divided.
Our city council needed a path forward, and I'm happy to be that path forward. I want this job to be incredibly boring. I want this job to be non-political and not confrontational.
A graduate of Portland's Grant High School and Portland State University, Councilor Dunphy has worked with the late City Commissioner Nick Fish, U.S. Senator Jeff Merkley, and the American Cancer Society. Welcome back to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you've been council president for about 2 weeks now. Is it boring yet?
It is not boring yet, but hopefully with a few more weeks of work, I'm going to make this job incredibly boring.
Now, what have you been doing in these 2 weeks? How is this different from just being a member of the council?
Yeah, you know, a lot of it has mostly been learning about all the responsibilities that the council president has to have. I've also been really diving deep into examining our current committee structure. One of the roles of the council president is to propose what the committees that we all serve on how they're composed. So I've been working on a proposal and trying to also just build relationships with all 12 city councilors so that we don't have a lot of the unpleasantness happen throughout the rest of this year.
How's that going so far?
Honestly, I think it's going well. I get the impression that this council doesn't feel good about how the presidential selection process was, and they all agree that we need a city council that functions. We have to move this city forward. And so I do feel like councilors are really trying to dig in and find compromise and paths forward to work for the good of our whole city.
Much has been made about the progressive coalition, the Peacock, of which you were or are a part. We'll talk about that. Yeah. Are you still a member of Peacock, and how does that work with you as council president now?
Yeah, absolutely. I am still a proud progressive. My progressive values are absolutely the reason I ran for office. However, I have stepped back from the progressive caucus. For me, you know, it was really a tool to help build relationships and help find a path forward through a really uncertain first year. It was an organizing tool and a regular meeting where I could learn how to work with some of these colleagues that I had never met before. As council president, I have stepped away from that simply because I also don't have the capacity. But I am still a progressive. I still deeply care about serving the working families, the working individuals of this community, and trying to fix the system that hasn't served people very well.
Just a week after you were voted president, Portland police had to forcibly remove some ICE protesters from city council meeting. You canceled the in-person city council meeting and then you went virtual instead, and this is what you said during that time.
This is a disruption, and if it continues, I will be clearing the chamber.
Afterwards, Mayor Wilson issued a statement agreeing that, quote, our public safety is undermined by the actions taken by federal agents. Now, the initial protest was about an effort to revoke city permits for the ICE facility on South Macadam Avenue. What's the status of that, and what's your overall stance on ICE in Portland?
Yeah, well, first of all, my stance on ICE in Portland is that ICE needs to get out of Portland. We do not want them in our city. They are not making us safer. They are making our city less safe. With regard to the future of the Macadam facility, there is an administrative process, and it has been complicated by the landlord filing a lawsuit against us. So that has slowed everything down. This is no longer simply an administrative decision. The courts are involved and lawyers are involved. And I recognize that that is not satisfactory to the people who are out in the streets right now and are furious about the federal government's increasingly tyrannical behavior in our city. I want to see swift action too, but we cannot meet blatant illegal behavior with illegal behavior. We have to meet that with systems that actually work and are upheld and actually get to the long-term results that we're trying to seek. So I understand the passion of the protesters who showed up to City Hall, and I wish I had better answers for them. But we're not going to start a revolution here. The city of Portland is not going to take on in a physically violent way against the most well-funded police force in the world. We have to use the tools that we do have, and I recognize that that's just deeply unsatisfactory to a lot of people.
Well, we have a tool that many other cities did not have before we instituted it, the Frog Brigade. So we're about to bring the frogs back out, right?
I love the way that Portlanders have shown up. In a uniquely absurd way that only Portland can, we have demonstrated that this federal government is deeply unserious, and they are looking to try and get a reaction, and when we deny them that reaction, they turn their tail and run. So I'm so proud of Portlanders for showing up in frog costumes and 80s gymnastics outfits and granny knitting circles and puppy parades. It's the exact kind of reaction Portland needs.
On the issue of housing and homelessness, we've seen a big increase in overnight shelter beds here in the city of Portland, but we've got more homeless people in Multnomah County than we've ever had. Mayor Wilson wants to return $21 million in unspent housing money to the general fund. How is the council handling that? What's the discussion been like about that proposal?
Yeah, there's an expression that this is a color of money problem. Those dollars were collected from the fees that landlords pay. We have a registry every year that a landlord pays a fee, and that those dollars go into a pot. And for whatever reason, they were not included in our budget, but they are restricted. We cannot return them fully to the general fund. And additionally, those were collected for a very specific purpose. Those were collected to help renters. And so this council is actively moving forward on some really robust ways to help renters who are falling into homelessness. As you said, we're getting 1,000 people plus off the streets and into housing every month, but 1,400 people are falling into homelessness every month. We have to slow the inflow into homelessness.
Portland has a big funding gap, especially in the area of infrastructure like roads and parks. How is the council going to address that? And the second part of that is, are you getting hurt by any decisions about federal funding on that level?
Yeah, well, first, you're absolutely right. We have billions of dollars of due maintenance for all of our facility, all our roads, all of our infrastructure, parks, but also our sewer systems and our water delivery systems and our sidewalks. It is billions of dollars that we simply do not have. And in addition to the future of the Moda Center, the future of the Keller Auditorium, the future of all the P5 performing arts venues, it is a challenge that we don't have a lot of good answers for. We are going to be getting an asset management plan about how to deal with these pieces of infrastructure that we are not currently upkeeping in a good way. But to the last part of your question, you're also absolutely right. We are losing millions of dollars from the federal government, and also the cuts that the federal government are having to the state are trickling down to us as well. We're seeing rent assistance, we're seeing housing assistance, we're seeing homeless assistance, we're seeing infrastructure assistance, including transportation dollars, disappear from our community. So it is a crisis on all fronts, and I'm at this moment not entirely sure how the city is going to be able to fill that budget hole, continue to push back against the federal government in the ways that we are increasingly on the hook for, continue to respond to homelessness in a way that we never have, and continue to deliver services that Portlanders expect. It's going to be a huge challenge.
Only have about 30 seconds left, Councilor, but briefly, after a year of growing pains, is this new system of government approaching working?
I think it really is. I think that if these were easy decisions, they wouldn't require a city councilor or an elected official to have to make these decisions. And we have real differences of opinion in our community about what the right path forward is. And I'm starting to see that. We're moving away from some of the petty grievances, but we're having good policy debates. And that's exactly what this city council should be doing. We are seeing voices both on the dais and coming to testify before the city council that we've never seen before. And we're getting different results out of policy and different kinds of compromise. I think that this system is really starting to work. The first year was always going to be messy, and it's my hope that year 2 is going to be less messy.
Portland City Council President Jamie Dunphy, thank you for returning to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks for having me back.